The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. We're open line today. Yesterday, live with the students of King William's College. Anything you'd like to follow up on what was said yesterday, by all means get in touch. Call 66 13 68. Text, email and WhatsApp. Of course, earlier on this week, Treasury Minister was on. There are lots to talk about. It is, of course, Mental Health Awareness Week. This time last week, we were live at the George Hotel in Castletown. Thank you, Simon. He said, did the needle get stuck? You said dry and sunny twice for the weekend weather. I know, that's what it says. It says here, dry and sunny for the rest of the weekend. How about that? Enjoy it. And perhaps if you bought from Everest Glazing, have you heard the story that Everest Glazing has gone into administration? Office of Fair Trading are fielding calls at the moment and inquiries continuing in an attempt to clarify the position for customers of Everest Isle of Mann. The parent company in the UK has fallen into administration last month. What's happening with guarantees or work or what have you? If you're in the middle of that, it'd be nice to know exactly what's going on. Simon's been looking at it.
The Manx company's installation base in Braddon is currently closed. OFT spokesman Mark Smith said he'd received calls from Everest customers concerned by the closure. He's been in contact with the UK administrators today, but had been unable to speak to anybody concerned with Everest Isle of Mann Limited. Everest 2020 in the UK went into administration on the 24th of April, the second time the brand has done so. In a previous guise, the company was saved by a rescue deal in June 2020 and rebranded as Everest 2020. Business advisory firm Resolve is overseeing the current process and has so far been unable to find a buyer, though it's understood some assets will be sold to rival Anglian Home Improvements, though the majority of Everest's UK staff have been made redundant. According to Resolve, around 1,500 UK-based Everest customers have unfulfilled orders. The figure relating to Everest Isle of Mann Limited isn't known. In the meantime, Anglian have offered to honour orders made by customers with Everest in the UK. A statement on their website claims customers of Everest Isle of Mann Limited will still have their work carried out by the Manx company, though a spokesman for the administrators told Manx Radio they weren't aware that that was the case. It's hoped the situation will become clearer in respect of Everest's island customers in the coming days.
And if you need to get in touch with the Office of Fair Trading, telephone number is 624080. There is a counselling hotline there at 686 500 for the main office if you want to talk about Everest. If you've perhaps got a guarantee or wanting to claim under a guarantee, 686 500 for the Office of Fair Trading. Julian's on now. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. Yeah, I listened to your show yesterday with the students at King William's College.
Yeah.
Picked up on Theodora's concerns about assisted dying legislation in relation to vulnerable people, and how they may not have capacity to give informed consent. But what about informed consent for anyone that is pro-assisted dying? And this brings me to a subject not being discussed in Tynwald at the moment. A recent research paper, which I've just emailed to you, Andy, from Oxford University, whose title, somewhat paradoxical, is published in the British Medical Bulletin. The title is Efficacy and Safety of Drugs Used for Assisted Dying. I'll just repeat that. Efficacy and Safety of Drugs Used for Assisted Dying. This Oxford University paper looks at all the assisted suicide jurisdictions worldwide and their drug protocols. Now, Lord Falconer's last assisted suicide private members bill includes the word medicines, which infers that there exists an easily prescribed drug that consistently brings about death quickly and painlessly. The reality is there is no such medicine, even after decades of assisted suicide around the world. fully approved drugs that we're used to are used for medical purposes are required to undergo a stringent approval process. Assisted suicide drugs worldwide have not undergone any such regulatory approval process anywhere in the world. Oxford University's paper notes a paragraph from the Canadian Assisted Suicide Protocol known as MAID, and I'll quote this: "The pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics listed for the medications below are at typical therapeutic dosing, not MAID dosing. There is no peer-reviewed literature to guide best practice in compounding these medications." So there is no peer-reviewed research in assisted suicide drug types, combinations, or how different individuals are going to react. And this leads to completely different protocols in every jurisdiction. In other words, legalized experimentation. In Oregon, the average time to death is 1.5 hours, but has been up as far as 108 hours or 4.5 days. And almost 8% of individuals took over 6 hours. However, the manner of the death is unreported 3/4 of the time in Oregon and half the time in Belgium, presumably due to the fact that the doctors involved in the assisted suicide not only assesses the individual beforehand, but also writes up the report afterwards, a bit like marking your own homework at school, and is perhaps reluctant to admit when assisted suicides go wrong. The Canadian Association of MAID Assessors and Providers acknowledges that patients who ingest assisted suicide drugs can experience, and I quote from the actual MAID data, burning, nausea, vomiting, regurgitation, especially if the patient has difficulty swallowing large volumes of liquid, esophagitis, gastritis, severe dehydration, and it is common in older individuals, lowered ability to absorb the drugs through the gastrointestinal tract. That's just a fact of aging.
Okay.
Oregon report.
Just tell me, what's the implication for the Isle of Man where this is concerned?
We are going to be giving people the appearance, with the use of the word medicines, if this appears in the bill, as a drug protocol that is going to just put you gently to sleep. That is a fantasy, according to Oxford University. This is not me saying this. This is available to download. You've got it right there. You look at the list of drugs that they're going to give you: 20,000 milligrams of chloral hydrate, 15,000 milligrams of pentobarbital, midazolam 10 milligrams, morphine 3,000 milligrams, digoxin 50 milligrams. The list goes on and on and on. Oregon's reporting that annual complication rates are up at 15%, or 1 in 6 individuals who have some or all of the previous issues that I've just mentioned, as well as seizures and regaining consciousness despite ingesting all the drugs. Typically in Oregon, patients are required to swallow 100 barbiturate tablets, often crushed into a pile, then added to a sweet solvent, but also anti-seizure pills and anti-emetic tablets used to try and prevent vomiting, due not only to the large volume of a paste-like liquid, but also the toxic cocktail being rather caustic and bitter.
Okay.
So,
just tell me, do you think, I mean, the member for Aaron Michael, Mr. Cannon, will be proposing a referendum, an amendment that will propose a referendum for this, either between now and the election or at the same time as the election? I mean, what would happen if there were a referendum and the majority of people said we should go ahead with the legislation, if the majority, the will of the people was we should go ahead?
Okay, that's fine. But if you're going to have a referendum, people need to have informed consent. And I'm sure everyone agrees with that, including our friends at Dignity and Dine, because I don't want anyone suffering from this stuff. I mean, it's horrible. Okay. And I've got friends who are on the other side. You might say the other side. I don't know if they're on the other side, but I don't like saying that because we agree on so many other things. But we need to know this information if we're going to make an informed referendum. If this is an unlicensed drug protocol, and it is, I mean, Oxford University is saying this, not me. Okay. This is. I've sent you directly from the Oxford University website. So make of it what you will, Andy.
Okay, I can't read it right now. I'm just a bit occupied, but I certainly shall. Yeah. All right.
Fair
Thanks,
enough.
Julian. Good to hear from
Andy.
you. All the best to you.
Cheers.
I don't know whether you heard yesterday we were live at King William's College. And one of the students there brought something brand new to the conversation about assisted dying. I apologise, by the way, because some people really don't like talking about assisted dying. I'll be honest with you, neither do I. It is not a pleasant subject to contemplate. However, it is in the news, and it's certainly it's brought the Isle of Man into the news because of our proposed assisted dying legislation. Anyway, Theodora, as Julia mentioned, the Romanian student, brought something new because King William's College had been in a debate with Ramsey Grammar School, but Theodora brought something, how much it costs. And it had never occurred to me how much it actually costs to avail yourself of assisted dying in Switzerland. According to Dignitas, to their website, as of 2017, Dignitas charged 7,000 Swiss francs, £5,000 for preparation and assistance to dying. I didn't know it was seriously, and remiss of me probably, but £5,000 Dignitas charge. Does that change your mind? Anyway, any thoughts? Patrick's on now. Hi, Patrick.
Hello, Andy. Andy, I saw my brother suffer and die, and the nursing people in charge give him the overdose of morphine when he was ready to go. So surely if a morphine overdose is not painful, I watched him die, and he didn't die in pain. He was ready to go, and he asked for the extra morphine, and they give it to him, which was very, very fair. This scaremongering about assisted dying, I'm afraid, it does my head in, really.
So
I think people, when they're ready to go, if someone is dying in pain, if they want extra morphine, or whatever it is, this man has just been on, Julian, he's scaremongering in some respects, all these surveys and all what have you. If you give the nursing staff and the doctors, two doctors agree that a person is dying in pain and terminally ill, they will administer the morphine and they will die peacefully. I watched for an hour my brother dying, and he wasn't in pain. I've seen my sisters die, several of them. I know I've lost 4 members in the last 2 years. And nurses and doctors know what they're doing. So providing it's agreed by the public that assisted dying is what they want, let people have it. People who scaremonger about, and people who are religious, get on my nerves a little bit. I've got family members who disagree with us about assisted dying. But if you're in pain and you want to go and you're terminally ill, God doesn't give you the right to say, no, you can't have it. God, if he is up there, he would let you go.
Patrick, I'm really happy you called in today. I'm very grateful for that perspective. I appreciate it. Patrick, thanks for calling.
Thanks, Andy.
12 on Manx Radio. I noted, by the way, after last Friday where we were talking about Mental Health Awareness Week, Eddie dropped me a note in just to say Beverly Knight performed with the Salford Pendleton School of Theatre Music at the National Lottery Big Night of Musicals, and she said music is everything to these children. The thing about theatre is we as a nation, the British she's talking about, we as humankind, we need art, we rely on art. It's so important to enrich and encourage our souls. We have hospitals who are fixing bodies, we are fixing people's insides and their mental health with art, with music. And a review in the British Theatre Guide said the Master of Ceremonies, who was Jason Manford, took every opportunity to remind the audience and television viewers of the way in which taking part in theatre groups and community arts projects helps young people build confidence and social skills. It's to be hoped that our selectively deaf and permanently stupid politicians, Jason Manford was talking about, will take the hint and cough up some funds. But maybe that's probably too much to hope for. the way in which theatre, performance art can help, particularly with young people's confidence, social skills, mental health. Interesting. Of course, we've just come off the back of the biggest performance on the Isle of Man, the Guild, which was in full action. Interesting how many people have got memories of when they were in the Guild as a child. Howard's with us now. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Just to change the subject, I was speaking to a person yesterday, and it made me think deeply that the company that's working down on the Edward Pier, I've just said to Chris, they seem to have been there for a long time. Okay, it's a protected job, but they seem to have been there forever. And this particular person who is well versed, it's not a man in the pub, but he said originally the contract worked out by the DOI was going to be about £3.5 million. And when they found that the Manxman actually fitted the pier, but they still wanted to put the dolphins in, they reset the contract. By this time, it had gone up to £6 million. And then, now, because of various aspects of it different, we don't know what the truth is, and it would be nice if someone came from the DOI. The last figure I heard, and this was only yesterday afternoon, is now sitting around about 12 million. So since its inception, less than 2 years ago, it's quadrupled in price. Do we have another landing stage, another Liverpool landing stage on our hands, but here at home? It'd be nice to have an honest answer, and I mean an honest, not a political answer, from the DOI or from somebody that's within the hierarchy of the harbour boards.
Well, it's, as you say, interesting, because from where we sit on Douglas Head, and I'm guessing you at the camera obscura, you can see everything that's going on down there, and I can't figure out what's happening.
No. Admittedly, it's a working environment, both for the company that's doing the job and for the steam packet. And it's going to become even more so in the next few weeks. And the Harbour Board, the steam packet, have said that they will cease work on that extension, the dolphins, etc., and it makes common sense, because, as I said to Chris a few minutes ago, you can't have people wandering around while there's heavy machinery and construction going on. And all two link spans have got to be used. But it seems to be going on and on and on. And, once more, they said that they weren't going to use the hammer to drive in the piles because of the noise. And, again, you can understand that for the people that are living around there, but it doesn't seem to be making, as you say, they put a platform in, they knocked 4 piles in, put a platform on it for the men to work. And this is so the 2 big dolphins, where I'm led to believe they have poured some concrete, because the water turned white down in the harbour area. But is there somebody within the DOI that can give an honest answer? As I say, not a political answer or an excuse. Give the people of the Isle of Man who are paying for this a reason for people to think that it's quadrupled in price. But, these things seem to slide away, and then suddenly we got the Liverpool landing stage is doubled. The promenade, which had to take money from one part to move to something else. How many times are the DOI going to shuffle the cards?
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I got a message while we were on air yesterday at King William's College. Messages came in about other subjects. It was Pip who just said, how much is the price of extending the horse tram going to go up now?
Exactly.
And will it just creep and creep and creep until they say it's going to cost £7 million and then nobody will want to do it?
Well, that's exactly what I said several weeks ago. They have the lines, I believe. They bought sufficient to do the job. But one of the things where they had the couplings, etc., there's only one company who's manufacturing, and they hadn't got enough of those, and it's just a whole series of mess, and that's why they probably ended up at the end of Clarence Terrace. And the idea, as you just said, is to let it run and run until they come to the end of this government, And then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but it is going to be about 7 million. It's just not worth the cost of it. Do you want to pay 7, possibly 8 million for the horse tram?" And the huge answer would be no. And that's what they're waiting on. And it's disgusting that the people within our government are doing exactly that, but they're not saying it. Transparency? No way.
But you would think, Howard, considering the horse trams, this will be, and I'll just put this to any member of DOI that's listening, it will be an easy win. If you suddenly say, we're putting the horse trams back, there'll be some people who don't like the horse trams who would grumble, but most people, and particularly tourists and visitors, like the horse trams. So suddenly, that's a bit of good news, you know?
Yeah. Well, there are 2 cruise ships in yesterday. The Maud, she's a regular visitor, and one sitting out in the bay, and they were in and out, and they could have been what we rudely call bums on seats, the horse trams.
Yeah.
And last year's excuse that the horses were having a day off, it was their day of rest. I don't know what union they're in, but at least they could have done double time. And this is because they didn't want to bring the horses out, and the cruise ship never got a chance to travel on the trams. So they're killing it off bit by bit, chip by chip by chip, and then the big hammer blow will come at the end, rightly as you say, the cost. And the cost is actually down to the government itself. They are the instigators of it, and they're pushing it out until such times it becomes cost prohibitive. But when you were talking early on about, and it's a very sad subject, there's a young girl, she's only 29, is saying about the assisted dying. She's suffered for many, many years, apparently, from mental health. I don't know there's any physical illness there, but there's mental health, depression, etc. And she has now gone through a 2-year period where she made application in Holland to go through euthanasia. And she's only 29 years of age, and she's going to be treated at home and the assisted dying at home. It's sad. As I say, it's a very open subject, and it's open to abuse. That's all I can say on that one.
All right, have a good weekend. Thanks, Howard.
And you, take care. Bye now.
Good to hear from you. A note in from Freddie, who just says, you were talking about putting blue plaques here, there and everywhere on the Isle of Man. Well, there are plaques around to various people. In fact, there's a plaque at the Corony Bridge in Mackhold. I didn't know that. I'll take a look next time I'm there. I'm at Glenmona at the wee early part of next week. A plaque on the Corony Bridge at Mackle to commemorate a famous Manxman, William Kennish. In 1885, William Kennish's son, William, was chief inspector on the concrete structure forming a base for the Statue of Liberty, 70 feet high, containing 1,400 cubic yards of concrete. Just look for William Kennish in any search engine. I didn't know that. That plaque on the Corony Bridge in Mackhold to commemorate William Kennish. Thanks. Oh, Peter's on with us now. Hi, Peter.
Oh, hello, Andy. It's Peter Mercott here. You were talking about the cost about this assisted suicide. Actually, I don't know whether it's realised, but today is the first anniversary of the suicide prevention strategy being accepted and endorsed unanimously by Tynwald. I've got the Hansard of what exactly was said. So when they endorsed it, they also had a motion whereby the costs involved would be brought to the attention of the Tynwald, and that happened in October. So, as I've been saying all the way along, first of all, at that moment, when they adopted the suicide prevention strategy, by implication, they excluded the opposite, the suicide provision strategy, i.e. the assisted dying bill. It cannot stand, the two can't stand, because the good governance of the Isle of Man is not satisfied if you have money spent in two self-defeating ways. And I think that ought to be noted by everyone, whatever side of the picture that they're on. You cannot spend money in one way and then undo it by spending money in the other. So I've written a little celebratory poem about very short, for the first anniversary of the suicide prevention strategy, which is to be applauded. And it's this: you cannot prevent and provide, and that's what the keys must decide. So rest not until they abandon the bill and come down upon righteousness' side.
Okay.
And that's the picture.
I appreciate that, Peter. It's good to hear from you, and have a good weekend.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, 28 minutes before 1 on Mannin Line.
Well, today I'm going to talk about the finest bathrooms in town. Hello, cheeky monkey.
I hope you're going to recommend Pacesetter.
Of course.
Wow, it's where all the cool cats go.
Yes, smart cats like you choose Pacesetter for a wide range of stylish designs and superb expert advice.
Squawk! Pacesetter! Pacesetter!
That's right, Polly. The magic starts when you visit Pacesetter Tile and Bathroom Studio, Harris Terrace, Douglas, or search online for Pacesetter Douglas.
Ramsey, Douglas, Castletown and Peel, the Ferry Bridge and Laxey Wheel, Point of Ayr to the Sound of Man. Explore the island with Camperman. Whether it's an island staycation, a trip to the UK or a tour of Europe, do it in style with Camperman Luxury Motorhome Hire. Fabulous accommodation, the open road and stunning views await you. Start planning your dream adventure. Call Camperman Luxury Motorhome Hire now on 30 40 87 or find us on Facebook.
Roses are blooming at Ramsey Garden Centre, and with a variety of hanging baskets, summer bedding, fruit and ornamental trees, plus a full range of garden essentials, there's never been a better time to visit Ramsey Garden Centre. Open 7 days a week.
Get your tickets now for this season's range of onboard dining events featuring old favourites like the legendary Pie and Mash Train, the Curry Club and more, including memorable dining experiences on one of our STEAM theme events with something for everyone. To find out what's cooking on the dining car or to book, call 697 457 or visit rail.im.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Hello, Val.
Good afternoon.
Hi. I know you got to. Have you got to go and wash the car?
The camper, actually.
Oh, what's the camper van? Okay. Anyway, so we'll be quick about this then.
Okay. Right. I just wanted to say my piece on the assisted dying. I'll start off with my best friend in Canada, Lynn. She chose this route. She started being ill in December, and by January done lots of tests, etc. And she ended up with cancer in 4 locations, stage 4. So obviously it wasn't at all good. She was 74. And so we regularly spoke, and she told me she was going to do the assisted dying. And she, contacted MAID. And at that stage, she was going to be offered some radiotherapy. And I said, well, do you not think maybe you should try the radiotherapy first, etc.? And she said, well, I want to do it now while I've got the mental capacity, because actually she had cancer of the throat, the jaw, and the base of the neck, so obviously it could go to the brain. So she wanted to make sure everything was in order, and she did have everything in order. And she also told me that she was going to choose the injection, and she was going to do it in the company of a long-term partner of 30 years and some of her best friends. I don't know how many of them, but anyway, that's what she chose to do. So I was going away on holiday, and the day after I came back from my holiday, then I'd message them to see how she was, etc. By this time, she can't talk because of the cancer of the throat. So Oliver did the talking, and they said it was going to be the next day at 9 a.m. Canada time, which is 2 p.m. our time. So and she said, so it was very, as you can imagine, I couldn't hug her, obviously, 4,000 miles between us, etc. But we'd spoken a lot, and I said my goodbyes. And we won't go into too much detail on that, but the gist of it was it was 9 o'clock the next morning. So I later on messaged Oliver to see that it went well. Well, it's the right expression. And he said yes. And he said, Lynn did as Lynn does. She's like myself, likes a party. She danced the night before and danced in the morning before she had the injection. Now, I personally think that's a great way to go. She had everything in order, and I got a lovely card, and I thanked her after her death. And it was just, to my mind, it was right. There was clearly, not as Julian implied, people's deaths went on and on and on. This was not the case. One injection, and she slipped away peacefully.
How do you? I mean, Val, how do you? I mean, how do you reconcile that in your brain? I mean, was it because of Lynn's character that you could understand that? Was there any element of regret in how you viewed her death?
None whatsoever. And I'm a supporter of the assisted dying. I was down there with the placard on Tuesday, and I went into the House of Keys and listened to all. No, I'm very pro it. I actually am a nurse. I'm still actually on the register, but that's by default, actually. And I would certainly, if I had something like, to my obviously terminal cancer, and it was really rapidly progressing, and I had serious motor neuron disease or multiple sclerosis or something that was like that, then I too would do this. And going back to another time when I was nursing, when I lived in Canada, and a friend and her husband was involved in an accident, and he ended up on a ventilator. And he was on a ventilator for 30 years. Now, his children were 3, 5, and 6. So, they used to go every week to see the father, whom they obviously didn't know was on the thing. And eventually they were allowed, one of the infections, and they allowed him to die. Now, that is not living. And his wife, she said, obviously, she said, Paul wouldn't have wanted this either. And why on earth do you keep people like that? And over the years, there's different other ones in vegetative states. And if there's no quality of life, to my mind, there is no life. Nothing to do with like incontinence or whatever, or not feeding, because, you can get fed, you can have a catheter, you can have peg feeds through the stomach, etc., nasogastric and nose. But if there is no quality of life, where there is no enjoyment and no interaction, no communication, then explain to me where's the joy in that life, because I can't see it. And it's very, very hard for relatives and friends to be around people that do that and knowing that they want to die. And I've been on this radio before, and I've said, people have said to me, help me die, and obviously you can't. But it is a fact. If you had an animal like that, you would put it out of its misery.
So what's your message to the politicians in Tynwald?
I think it should go ahead, and obviously it should be very rigorous things like criteria, because there is this, there's always a worry that somebody might be just sort of feeling a bit off that day, etc., or whatever. But there needs to be, and there is, and Lynn said that. She said, the fact that she had the 2 doctors twice and everything, and so of course then it was that the power of attorney went to her partner, so obviously if she did get it, that it was already agreed before she went that way, and because of where her cancer was, there was every chance it could affect her brain. So this is it. And I mean, I've got a living will, and I certainly want it, but of course if I end up with dementia and everything, it's null and void. But I'm a great, I am in favour of it. Okay. That's it. Yeah.
All right, we appreciate that. I appreciate that, Val, and thanks for calling us today. It's good to hear from you.
You're welcome.
Cheers now. 20-1 now on Manx Radio. I don't think they use tablets for assisted dying, says texter 554. And also 554 also said Oxford University also bigged up the COVID vaccine. So you can't have it both ways. Well, Oxford University's got many parts, hasn't it? There are lots and lots of different colleges. And also a message for Peter, who just said, you were talking about those 2 cars that were missing. Have they found them yet? Yes, apparently the Vauxhall Zafira LMN 743D has been found, as was the Range Rover Evoque, although I don't think they were both in perfect condition when they found them. Tony's on now. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
No, not bad. What about yourself?
Not bad. I just wanted to ask for an update. I came on quite some time ago when the Manxman first started sailing and said it's got a vibration. And I think I wasn't the only person, because eventually the steam packet took some notice, and they said they were putting vibration sensors in. And that was the last we heard of it. So it's got a vibration, which does change when the ship is doing different things.
Yeah.
So there is something on that ship that is causing a problem, but they don't seem to be interested in communicating that. And it's interesting that the guy in charge of the finances of our government, Dr. Allenson, seems to think it's a private company. How can it be a private company? It's publicly owned. So he's using all the wrong words to try and justify stuff he wants to put through on the agreement, that they want to change it to simplify it. No, they should change it and then hold their feet to the fire to do what they're supposed to be doing. Not many of the crew are Manx, or they don't appear to be living here, so they're not paying taxes. That was part of the sea agreement. That was part of the agreement that they would have people on there who would pay Manx taxes. I don't think we're getting a clear, honest picture because they don't want to tell us. I think that's the problem. And there really should be somebody in the steam packet who stands up and says this is the case, not Lars Ugland, because he's not a representative of the steam packet. He's a representative of the board, which is zero input from him, really, other than giving advice to the boards. He's not running the place.
Well, Tony, why wouldn't they tell us the full story? Why shouldn't they tell us the full story?
I'll give you 3 examples. Okay, supposing it's one of the gearboxes. That's a major issue. It's not little, it's big. So you've got a boat that's brand new that's got a big problem, which you'll then argue with the makers for another 100 years to get it resolved. If it's a tail shaft problem, you've got to wait till it goes into dry dock to try and resolve it. If it's an engine problem, then again, it's quite a major issue. I'm not familiar with the engine type because they don't give us any engine type. But there's an interesting thing. They put out a nice brochure, lovely colour brochure. Here's the 3 ships of the Isle of Man. And it's amazing. We've got a 25,000-tonne gross vessel, which is twice as big as the Ben McCree. But if you look at the 3 ships, the Mannin, the Ben McCree and the Manxman, the one that has the highest capacity for cars, at least, is actually, per size and everything else, is actually the Mannin, which is quite worrying, really. So you've got this giant-sized vessel, which is big because you need to carry all these crew around with you, because somebody decided that's what you needed to do. We need to have, from the steam packet and the government, what criteria were used to select this vessel. How did they come up with the criteria? What brain box decided you wanted this giant gin palace instead of a bus service? And why did we do that? Not just who did it, but why? All I ever heard was we needed a bigger boat. That's what they said, because the DOI said we need a bigger boat. Well, bigger boat doesn't necessarily mean more capacity per size.
Do you think this is all going to settle down at some point? Because the managing director said, there are teething problems with every boat, and this will all settle down.
Well, what does Lars Ugland know about passenger vessels? He doesn't run passenger vessels. His company, and he's the managing director, but he's the MD of the board. He's a non-exec managing director. He's not a managing director anyway. He's in fact chairman of the board.
Yeah.
So the managing director hasn't said that. It's Lars Ugland who said that. And he said it all settled down. That's fine. But I want to know what they're going to spend all the money on, because they're going to spend money like water, because it's public money now. And if we've got a problem with it, the best thing to do is to say we've got a problem, this is the problem, and this is our plan. We don't hear that. It'll settle down. What is it? We're going to bed it in, are we? What, are we stupid?
All right.
I'm sorry, I just don't see that comment as being relevant. Okay. If you've got a problem, and they have, which they've admitted they've got a vibration, then tell us what they think it is.
Okay.
If not, then say we don't know. Just tell the truth. Stop giving us platitudes, and it'll all come out well in the wash. which is what they keep saying.
Well, I'll have a listen because on the weekend I'm on the Manxman, so I'll have a very close listen to see.
You won't actually hear it. What you need to do is look at, if you go to the cafe at the front, right? Look at the shelving in the compartments there, and you'll see the middle shelf vibrates when it's sailing.
Okay. All right.
And the seat back in front of me was vibrating as well. So throughout the whole vessel, you'll feel it when she starts up. You'll feel it vibrating, and it's not the bow thrusters or anything like that, because that will always vibrate when you've got bow thrusters on. But this is actually somewhere within the main propulsion department, which is downstairs.
All right. Okay.
I don't
Tony,
know.
we appreciate that.
Ask for a guided tour of the main engine room and see what they say.
All right.
I'd love one. I'd love to go down there and have a look.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, just ask.
Okay.
Okay, take care, Andy.
Bye-bye now.
Good weekend and enjoy your vessel.
Thank you
Enjoy
very
your
much.
sail.
13 minutes to 1 it is. I'm on the boat over the weekend, so I'll have a good... I'll sense if there's any vibration knocking around. The situation about the Isle of Man steam packet not signing the lease at the moment, the DOI say that the Liverpool landing stage is in the hands of the steam packet because they haven't signed the lease. And there was a note in who also said the delay on the steam packet signing the lease, apparently they won't pay the valuation of the lease as it eats into their bonus pot because, we don't know, do we? We don't know what the situation is. I mean, it may be that within the structure of the steam packet company that senior executives do get bonuses. Nothing wrong with that. Legitimate bonuses are paid in many, many different companies. We just don't know what the situation is. All we know is that it's not open yet. The Liverpool landing stage is not functional regarding the steam packet, and quite frankly, we don't know when it is going to be.
Hi, it's Connor Cummins here. I'd just like to wish Manx Radio a very happy 60th birthday.
Oh! Problems with your spine and posture can have a serious effect on your quality of life, but a Line for Life Spine Clinic could help. If you're suffering from back pain, neck pain, headaches, their holistic scientific approach could find and treat the root cause of the problem for long-lasting relief. Touch A Line for Life now or call 629 444. A Line for Life, the island's spine and posture clinic, here to make life better.
At Mann Energy, we're excited to offer our customers the Alpha E-Tech efficient hybrid gas boiler and heat pump combination. This state-of-the-art hybrid boiler causes minimal disruption to your existing heating system, making it simple to upgrade. Priced from just £65 a month and with 6-year warranty as standard, which can be extended to 10 years, what are you waiting for? Register for a free consultation at isleofmanenergy.im.
Join us at Riley's Garden Centre this Saturday for the Traeger Barbecue Demo Day from 11am. See the grills, speak with the Traeger pros and taste the wood-fired difference with lots of samples on hand. Become part of the Traeger Nation at Riley's Garden Centre this Saturday from 11.
How would you like to be remembered? Why not create a lasting memory by leaving a legacy donation to the Queen's Pier Restoration Trust? This would help our dedicated team to continue the restoration to save our historic landmark. Whether you can make a regular donation, leave a legacy donation, or request funeral donations in lieu of flowers, you will be remembered. To find out more, email qprt@manx.net or visit us on Facebook. This audio has been kindly sponsored by Paul Carey & Sons.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Fast mine also hi to the Butcher Dan and Apprentice Butcher Chris from Turnbull's Northumbrian Food Hall in Alnwick in Northumberland. We're getting ready for a busy barbecue weekend in Northumberland. Good to hear from you, boys. Thanks for tuning in. Juan's on now. Hi, Juan.
Hey, Andy. I believe they've got that Beach Boys song playing on the steam packet now on the Mann. It's Good Vibrations.
Oh, very good, yes.
Yeah. I was listening to your show last Sunday. Good choice of music on the show last Sunday. I like that.
On the 70s show.
On the 70s show, yeah. And then I went shopping in Tescrite, and I heard you on there as well. It's like that voice in my head. I can't get...
There is more than one of me, you do know that.
They haven't cloned you. Oh, no, can't have that. have that. I'm just listening there to a couple of the points that you made, and I think the lady that was on before, was it Val? She was talking about her friend in Canada.
Yeah.
I think euthanasia by injection is slightly different than what they're proposing here. Am I right? They have two pathways in Canada. One is assisted die and one is euthanasia. So I think that's a slightly different thing than what they're proposing here. And listening to Paddy earlier on, I know Paddy, and what he said there, I mean, about his brother was given more morphine. If that's the case, then, you know, as he said, his brother passed without any pain. If that's the case and that's happening, what's all this argument about? If that's already happening, what's all this debate about? And I think when he says about Julian scaremonger, he's only actually repeating statistics, which are actually factual statistics. So, again, I mean, I live in the winter with a huge amount of Canadians, and I'll tell you, the Trudeau government is not very much in favour in Canada of all the things that they're doing up there. So I don't know. Again, in an ideal world, it would be the perfect choice, but we're not in an ideal world.
Well, and also I think a lot of this is, you know, because it's subjective judgment, everything to do with this is a matter of opinion.
It's a massive amount of opinion. And I think we've said on this programme before as well about how much trust you put in government. And that's a big factor these days, especially in the last 4 or 5 years since the COVID and everything else, is how much trust people are putting in government is a big factor in this, all around the world, and that's not just here. So, you know, there's a lot to be taken in. And again, I think, like I said before, people need to be well-versed with both sides.
Okay.
I hear the music coming on, Andy, so I'm going to do the sex education thing next week.
All right, Colin, good to hear from you. Thanks, Stuart. After Mannin Line today, we're back in 1981 with Sir Charles Carruth and Dr. Edgar Mann, back in the 60th archive. Next week on Wednesday, Joe Christian and Lee Dixon are here from FC Isle of Man. We'll be talking about where exactly the Ravens are going, where they've come from, where they're going next. Forward with the Ravens, the real conspiracy of Ravens on Wednesday. And this time next week, David Ashford's going to be on, chairman of the Housing and Communities Board, the MHK. And don't forget, on Monday, it's the public meeting of the Manx Development Corporation. You want to see them? Manx Legion Club, 7 o'clock on Monday. That's it for Mannin Line. Thanks for your company this week. Back on Monday. Thanks to Chris Quirk on the phones today.
WINT. 60 years serving you as the nation station. This is Manx Radio.
Manx election nights can be emotional occasions, but few were more so than the declaration in 1981 that Dr. Edgar Mann and Sir Charles Carruth, who had represented Garth since 1946, had been successfully returned. It's rare you hear a Manx politician's name being chanted by a Manx crowd.
The candidates elected are Dr. Mann and Sir Charles Carruth.
And Dr. Mann's now coming out onto the balcony. And Sir Charles, and of course Mr. Rector.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would, on behalf of all the candidates, like to thank the returning officer and his staff for the very efficient way in which he has counted this election, and of course they deserve all the thanks of all of us here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel very privileged to second that vote of thanks to our returning officer. He has conducted the election in the most courteous and helpful possible way. And to him and all his staff, we are indebted. To you, ladies and gentlemen, the electors of Garth, I too am indebted, because after 35 years in your service, I come back once again with the same number of votes as last time. Come and join me, darling. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do thank everyone. I have given you my pledge as to a program. I will adhere to that program, and with it we will go forward together to try and ensure the prosperity, remember that, of everyone out here.
Part of island life for 60 years. This is your Manx Radio.